Hey guys, if you like my videos, please like and subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it, thanks. And also let me know where y'all are watching from and at what time. I'm curious. They told me I'd be alone out there. That was kind of the point. After 10 years of fixing cell towers, HVAC units, and once, memorably, getting chased off a Florida rooftop by an angry raccoon, I was more than happy to take a 3-week solo contract monitoring the systems at Arctic Outpost H-31. The pay was stupid good. All I had to do was babysit a generator, log some diagnostics, and occasionally radio in to confirm I hadn't frozen solid. No boss breathing down my neck, no coworkers, no raccoons. Sounded like a dream. Turns out the Arctic doesn't care about your dreams. I arrived on a battered twin-prop plane that landed like a drunk uncle at a wedding. The pilot didn't even shut off the engine, just gave me a tight smile, handed over my duffel, and shouted over the prop wash, "Try not to let the cold in." I laughed. He didn't. The station sat squat and ugly against the endless white, half buried in a snowbank like the earth had tried to swallow it and given up halfway. The radio antenna jutted out like a broken bone, and the whole place looked wrong. Not spooky wrong, just off, like a house that's been lived in, but not by you. The door was already open when I got there. Now look, I'm not saying I'm paranoid, but I watch enough horror movies to know that unexplained open doors are right up there with creepy dolls and basements in the nope category. I stepped inside anyway. What was I going to do, hike back to the plane? Inside was warmer than I expected. Too warm. The lights were on, humming gently. Everything was tidy. Someone had even made coffee, though it looked fossilized in the pot. I walked through the narrow hall, boots thudding on the steel floor, and found the bedroom, kitchen, and generator panel just like in the floor plan I'd been emailed. And then I found the logbook. It was duct-taped to the wall next to the kitchen. A ratty old composition notebook with the words, "Read this first," scrawled in red Sharpie. Now I've seen my share of technician graffiti, usually bad jokes or phone numbers, but this one had a list inside. 7 rules written in block letters. 1. Don't go outside after sundown. 2. If the snow glows faintly blue, stay indoors and don't look out. 3. Someone may knock asking for help. Don't respond. You were never sent backup. 4. Burn anything that tries to come through the door. 5. If you lose time, check your shadow. 6. Never acknowledge the figure in the mess hall window. 7. If the generator stops, pray the cold gets you first. I read it twice, then I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my duffel. Someone had clearly gone stir-crazy and decided to haze the next guy. I mean, burning things at the door, figures in the window. This wasn't a horror movie, it was a fixer-upper with frostbite. I tossed my stuff in the bedroom and cracked a self-heating meal pouch. It tasted like regret and cardboard, but it beat trail mix. I radioed in to confirm my arrival, no response. I figured the comms were still glitchy and made a mental note to fix it in the morning. As the sun began its slow, miserable descent, I stepped outside to lock the snowmobile shed. That's when I heard it. 3 knocks, steady and deliberate, on the front door I had just closed. I froze. Then came the voice, my voice. "Hey, you left the radio on, man. Can I come in?" My blood went cold, not from fear, from recognition, because I was still holding the radio in my hand. I didn't move, didn't blink, didn't even breathe. The voice outside was mine, not just close, not just similar, exactly mine, right down to the lazy Midwestern drawl I'd been trying to shake since high school. The knocks came again, louder this time, like whoever, whatever, was out there knew it had my attention. "Come on," it said, "you left the heat on. Don't be a jerk." It was strange, but the moment that voice started pleading, I stopped being afraid, not because I was brave. No, because my brain decided to cash out and pretend this was all a dream. That's the only explanation for what I did next. I walked away, back to the little metal kitchenette, back to the coffee maker that hadn't worked since the Bush administration. I poured stale grounds into a cracked mug and ran the water, mostly to give my hands something to do. My reflection in the steel toaster looked as confused as I felt. The knocks didn't come again, but I left the radio off just in case. Later, when I had sufficiently convinced myself that I was dehydrated or losing it from the altitude or the cold, I sat down with that rulebook again. I reread each line, not quickly this time, slowly, like each word might suddenly make sense if I stared long enough. Burn anything that tries to come through the door. Don't respond to help requests. No backups coming. I don't know what made me believe it wasn't a prank anymore. Maybe it was the voice. Maybe it was the fact that it hadn't knocked again, like it knew I wasn't playing along. Or maybe it was what I saw when I glanced at the window. The snow outside glowed faintly, blue, not neon, not cartoonish, just a soft bioluminescent shimmer like moonlight through seawater. It rippled gently along the surface, and I swear on my mother's grave I could see footprints in it, bare footprints, circling the outpost. Now I know what you're thinking. Danny, that's probably just light reflecting off ice crystals. Sure, let's go with that. And maybe Santa's real and the moon's made of cheese. I backed away from the window, didn't look directly at it. Rule number 2, after all. I'd chuckled at that one earlier, but not anymore. Now it felt less like a rule and more like a warning. A tight-lipped whisper from the last guy who stayed here. I duct-taped the blinds shut. Yeah, not fancy, but effective. And as a bonus, it gave the station a nice, paranoid bachelor pad aesthetic. All I needed was a couch with one leg replaced by cinder blocks and a poster of a wolf howling at the moon. When the sun dipped behind the horizon, and I do mean dipped because in the Arctic that takes about 3 seconds, the station creaked, not from the cold but from settling, as if the whole place had just sighed. I flipped every switch, sealed the doors. Then I walked down the hall to the mess hall, mostly to double-check the windows were covered. That's when I saw it. In the reflection of the glass, a figure stood behind me. I didn't turn, I didn't move, I didn't breathe, because I remembered rule number 6. Never acknowledge the figure in the mess hall window. Instead, I backed away slowly, counting my steps, counting my breaths. Once I was in the hallway, I shut the door gently and whispered, "You know what? I've had worse roommates." Then I bolted it shut with a folding chair. I didn't sleep that night. Big shocker, right? Instead, I sat cross-legged in the tiny control room, sipping instant coffee like it was holy water, and watching the snow swirl outside the frosted windows. I kept one eye on the hallway and one on the camera feed looped on the ancient security monitor. The resolution was so bad it made potato chips look high def, but I didn't need detail. I just needed to see if anything moved. Around 3:40 a.m., or at least that's what the busted analog wall clock claimed, I noticed something weird on the generator feed. It was a single-frame glitch like a skipped heartbeat in the footage, just a flicker, a hiccup. Then I saw me. Not me watching the camera, but me, or something that looked like me, walking into the generator room. I blinked, rewound the footage, played it again. There I was, clear as day. Same parka, same scarf, same stupid beanie I'd been wearing since I got here. Only one problem. I had never left the station that night. I hadn't even left my spot on the floor. The double, let's call him other me, stood in front of the generator just out of frame. Then he turned and stared straight into the camera. Not like a glance. A knowing look, like he'd caught me spying. His face didn't move, no smirk, no blink, just that stare. I slapped the monitor, nothing changed. The feed had frozen on his face like the camera had given up. I must have sat there for a good 10 minutes, trying to logic it away. Sleep-deprived hallucination, camera malfunction, maybe a playback of old footage from the last guy. Yeah, except the date stamp read today. You ever try to talk yourself out of insanity while your own face watches you from a TV screen? Highly recommend it. Very humbling. After convincing myself not to scream like a middle schooler on a haunted hayride, I remembered rule number 5. If you lose time, check your shadow. I stood slowly and flicked on the overhead light. There it was, my shadow, stretching out across the floor, long and a little warped from the weird angles of the lamps. Normal enough, except it wasn't moving right. When I waved, my shadow was a half-second late, like a video buffering. I even tried clapping. Same thing, delay, lag, whatever you want to call it. It wasn't following me, it was copying me. Let me tell you, there are very few things in life more terrifying than realizing your shadow is on a different schedule than you. So I did what any brave, rugged Arctic technician would do. I screamed, loud, a high-pitched, very undignified, movie theater jump scare kind of scream. Then I turned off the light. Brilliant, I know, solve a weird shadow problem by making it dark. That's like hearing a noise in the basement and deciding to investigate with a candle and a smile. But hey, in my defense, panic makes you creative. Once the light was off, I couldn't see the shadow anymore, and that was good enough for now. If I couldn't see it lagging, I could pretend it wasn't. I made my way back to the main room, half joking to myself. Okay, Danny. Rule number 8, never trust a laggy shadow. Rule number 9, drink less coffee. Rule number 10, avoid eye contact with yourself on closed-circuit television. As I passed the mess hall again, I noticed the window was completely frosted over now. No figure in the glass. Small victories. You ever sleep in a walk-in freezer just to feel safe? I didn't think that would be part of my job description, but here we are, Outpost H31, where the insulation's thin, the coffee's haunted, and the safest place to sleep is next to a pig carcass and a shelf of expired ketchup packets. I started calling it the Fortress of Sully Chilled. Gotta keep your spirits up somehow. The meat locker was the only room with a locking handle on the inside. Plus the thick door muffled sound. No knocks, no whispering. Just the hum of old refrigeration and my breath fogging in the dark. It wasn't cozy, but hey, it was honest work. I slept in there on and off for 2 nights. Didn't dream, didn't dare. Dreams meant shadows and duplicates and blue snow that danced behind your eyelids. Better to lie in the cold, wrapped in 2 sleeping bags and a parka, whispering stand-up bits to yourself like, why did the Arctic ghost cross the road? To lag 1 step behind his own shadow. Comedy gold. But on the 3rd night, something changed. I woke up to the smell of coffee. Now, that might not seem like a big deal, but trust me, in this place, waking up to any smell that isn't mold, ice, or regret is not good. I hadn't touched the coffee maker since day 2, and I sure as heck hadn't programmed it to start brewing. When I opened the meat locker door, the station felt wrong, like I was walking into a movie set made to look like my station, except all the details were just a little off. The hallway lights were slightly too bright. The radio was switched on, though I hadn't touched it. The mug on the table said World's #1 Tech, but I swear mine said World's #1 Mess. Worst of all, there were 2 chairs at the kitchenette now, both facing each other, both pulled out. One had a cup of hot coffee, the other had my backup parka draped over it. I stared at the scene like a raccoon caught in a kitchen. Someone, or something, had set breakfast, for 2. And that's when I realized they wanted me to sit down. It was polite, friendly even, and absolutely insane. So naturally I grabbed the coffee pot and poured the whole thing down the sink. Steam hissed, and for just a second I thought I heard laughter. Mine, but it came from the mess hall. I froze. Nope, I had taped that window shut. I marched over to the mess hall door, carefully, and peeked through the viewing glass. Sure enough, the tape was peeled up at the corner. Not torn, peeled, like someone, or something, had taken care not to break it. And in the window, the figure was back. Same posture, same frostbitten face, but now he had a second face. It was mine, side by side like 2 photos overlapping, one smiling, the other blank. I backed away, didn't speak, didn't think, just closed the door, braced it with a chair, and retreated to my fortress of Sully Chilled. I spent the next 5 hours there writing my own version of the rulebook, scrawled in a half-frozen notebook with shaky hands. New rule number 8, don't eat with strangers, especially if they wear your jacket. New rule number 9, if your reflection invites you to breakfast, decline politely and set it on fire. I laughed, then I cried, then I laughed again. Because let me tell you, it's not the cold that gets you in the Arctic, it's the hospitality. The Arctic doesn't howl like in the movies. It groans, it creaks. Sometimes it even clicks, like bone on bone. It sounds less like weather and more like a thing, a body settling into place. On the night the generator died, the cold didn't just creep in. It claimed the station. I was in the control room watching the blue shimmer creep along the snowbanks again. I didn't look directly, not anymore, but it had a glow to it, like a pulse. I'd learned to watch it sideways, through the reflection of a spoon or a turned-off monitor, like it was a shy animal that only moved when it thought you weren't paying attention. That's when the lights blinked. Once, twice. Then everything died. I mean everything, the heater, the lights, the static hum of the radio, even the electric kettle I kept forgetting to unplug gave up the ghost. The whole station went silent. I swear I could hear the snow breathing outside. Rule number 7 flashed through my head like a lightning bolt. If the generator stops, pray the cold gets you first. Great, I muttered. That's always a good sign. Real morale booster, that one. With the flashlight between my teeth and my backup parka zipped up to my eyeballs, I sprinted to the basement like a man who'd seen one too many found-footage films. The steel stairs were iced over, of course they were, and I nearly broke my ankle on the way down. The generator sat there in the dark, humming faintly but not working. The backup gas line had been shut manually. Someone, or something, had closed the valve, and next to it, a set of wet footprints, bare, human, leading into the generator room, circling it once and stopping just behind the generator panel. No exit prints, no dragging, just gone. I didn't even think. I grabbed the nearest canister of fuel and splashed a trail of it toward the main hallway. Then I struck a flare. It hissed to life, casting a bright red glow across the walls, and that's when I saw the front door. It was bulging inward, like something was pressing against it, pushing, gently, politely, but with patience, like a man knocking with his entire body. I heard the knocks again, slower this time, deliberate. Knock, knock, knock. Then the voice. "You forgot rule number 4, it said, softly. "But that's okay, I forgive you." It wasn't my voice this time, it was my mother's. I hadn't heard her voice in years. She died of pneumonia 3 winters ago. But there she was, outside in the dark, asking me to let her in. She sounded cold, tired, like she needed her son to open the door just for a second. I screamed, not words, just pure noise, to drown it out. Then I threw the flare. The fuel caught immediately. The flame raced up the hall like it had been waiting. When it hit the front door, the station shook, not from an explosion, but from a shriek. A high, awful howl that wasn't wind or wood or anything human, just pain, ancient pain. The knocking stopped, the bulging receded, and I stood there in the red light, watching the frost creep backward, as if retreating from something worse than cold. I whispered, rule number 4, burn anything that tries to come through the door. Then I added my own. Rule number 11, if your dead mother calls, let it go to voicemail. The front door was scorched black, warped like plastic left too close to a stove. It didn't swing right anymore. It groaned, like it hated me personally for surviving the night. I didn't care. I duct-taped it shut anyway. That fix wasn't in any manual, but it sure made me feel better. The fire had worked. Whatever had been pushing at the door was gone, for now. But the cold had teeth that night. Deep, gnawing teeth that bit straight through layers of wool and confidence. I spent the next morning wrapped in 2 coats, my last pair of dry socks, and a blanket that smelled like old ketchup. The generator stuttered back to life with some careful coaxing and a very one-sided argument. I told myself things were turning around. But that optimism died in the mess hall. I hadn't dared open the door since I saw the figure in the window days ago. But duct tape only lasts so long in sub-zero temperatures. The edges had peeled again, just enough to give the window a clear view into the hallway. And sitting there in the window was him. The same figure, pale, frostbitten, wearing my jacket. Only now he looked more detailed, more real, and his face, it was changing. Each time I glanced, even accidentally, the expression shifted. First blank, then bored. Then that awful little smile, the kind you give someone who's about to trip on a sidewalk crack. I stood there, paralyzed. If I moved closer, he might move too. If I looked too long, I might see something I couldn't unsee. So I backed away, slowly, carefully. I should have left it at that. But I didn't. See, I had this thought, a dumb late-night internet conspiracy kind of thought. What if he was copying me, mimicking me before I even acted? What if he was predicting me? So I tested it. I walked into the kitchen, poured a cup of water, and turned my back to the mess hall window. 5 seconds later, I walked back to the hallway. The figure was already there, cup in hand, sipping. I stared. So did he. Then I tried something bolder. I took my pen and held it above my head like a lunatic, counted to 5, went back. He had the pen too, smiling. I don't know what scared me more, that he was following my actions, or that he was ahead of me. I covered the window with a tablecloth, nailed it to the wall with a screwdriver and a lot of creative swearing. The whole time I didn't look directly. I saw movement, but I kept my eyes down. When I finished, the station felt darker somehow, like I just shut the blinds on something that wasn't done looking at me. That night, I tried to sleep. I couldn't. The wind howled, the pipes groaned, I heard footsteps, not outside but above me. The station didn't have an attic. Then came the worst sound of all. Chewing, not loud, just chewing. Like someone was sitting in the mess hall, working through something tough and cold. I grabbed the flare gun, sat in the hallway, knees pulled up to my chest, pointed at the nailed-over window. "Okay," I whispered. "Number 12. No late-night snacking if you don't have a mouth." I didn't sleep, but I didn't blink either. And in that frozen silence, I could swear I saw the shadow of someone smiling through the cloth. You know those nightmares where you're running, but your legs feel like they're made of concrete? That's what it felt like when I finally looked at the snow. It happened around midnight, which is really just a technicality in the Arctic. The sun's gone for weeks, and time slips like a sock on an icy stairwell. I'd been checking the seal on the fuel reserve, again, when I noticed the walls of the hallway were glowing faintly. At first I thought it was the emergency light flickering back on. But no, it was outside. The snow, it was glowing again, faint blue like someone had buried a lantern beneath it, except this time it was moving, not the wind, not drifts. The snow itself rippled like something was stirring underneath. I should have walked away. I tried. But my boots felt glued to the floor, and my stupid traitor eyes kept drifting toward the main window. I looked, and I couldn't stop. The snow outside was pulsing, rhythmically, and as I stared longer, it began to rise. Not melt, not blow, rise, like something was lifting it from underneath, curling it into peaks and ridges and spirals. Then a shape formed. It wasn't a man. It was wrong. It had a body, kind of, arms maybe, but it wasn't made of anything solid. Just snow and light and something else, something that shouldn't move like that. It stood taller than the station, leaned down, and then it spoke. Not in a language, not in words. It used my voice. "Danny," it said from behind the walls, "you're almost ready." I couldn't breathe, couldn't look away. It raised one long limb, a glacier's finger, and tapped on the side of the outpost. Not knocked, tapped, like it was testing the walls, feeling for weak spots. My vision swam. My ears rang. I fell backward and hit my head on the doorframe. Blackness. When I woke up, I was in the mess hall. I was sitting across from myself. Not just a reflection, a copy. A man with my face, my scars, my crooked smile. Only his eyes were wrong, clouded over like old glass. He didn't move, just stared. The tape on the mess hall window had been torn away. He lifted his cup, sipped. "Danny," he said, "welcome back." I scrambled out of the chair, slipped on the slick floor, and crawled out of the room without ever looking back. My heart hammered like a jackhammer on thin ice. The hallway was colder now. The walls were frosting from the inside. And outside, the snow was glowing again. Not blue this time, white. Bright, hungry white, like the inside of a lightning bolt. The station wasn't just under siege, it was becoming part of it. I locked myself in the bathroom and turned on the hot water, a full blast, even though the pipes groaned like they didn't appreciate the effort. I stared in the mirror. I blinked. So did my reflection. Then it winked. I didn't. That's when I knew something had changed. The snow was inside, and it had brought something with it. I didn't leave the bathroom for 6 hours. Not because I had a plan, not because it was warm, it wasn't, and not because the mirror hadn't winked at me, it definitely had. I stayed in there because I was out of places to run. The station was changing. The lights no longer flickered, they breathed. A slow, steady pulse like a sleeping animal, sinking with the glow of the snow outside. I heard footsteps in places where there were no floors. I heard my voice humming a lullaby I didn't remember knowing. And once, just once, I heard something whisper, almost ready. So I sat on the cold floor, knees pulled up to my chest, clutching a flare like it was a teddy bear. That's when I remembered number 5. If you lose time, check your shadow. Time hadn't made sense for a while now. My watch was spinning like a roulette wheel, and the clock on the wall was stuck at 4:17 a.m., or possibly p.m. Either way, I hadn't eaten, I hadn't slept, I hadn't blinked in what felt like hours. So I stood up, slowly. I flicked on the bathroom's overhead light, and there it was, my shadow. At least it looked like mine. Same shape, same hunched shoulders, same needs more sleep posture. But something was off, it was too dark. Not just an absence of light, a presence of something else. Like it had weight, substance. I turned my head. So did it. Then, just to be sure, I kicked my leg out to the side. The shadow waited half a second, and then followed. I nearly threw up. It was delayed, just like before, a frame behind, like a bad recording or a knockoff marionette. I needed more proof. I grabbed a flashlight and pointed it at the wall, created a new shadow. That one moved perfectly, instantly, like normal. But the first one, still there, still wrong. I turned back toward the mirror. My reflection stared at me, unblinking, and slowly it smiled. Time, it said, my own voice, distorted slightly. You're almost out of it. I did what any sane man would do. I threw the flashlight at the mirror, shattered the glass, and ran. The hallway was colder now, not just in temperature, but in feeling. The air clung to my skin like damp wool. I felt heavier, like I was walking through syrup. The mess hall door stood open. The cloth I'd nailed to the window was gone, peeled away cleanly, like it had never been there. Inside, the table was set again. 2 chairs, 2 mugs, 2 of me. I didn't step in, I didn't blink. I turned and ran for the control room. I needed proof, logs, anything I could document. If I died here, I wanted someone to know what happened, even if it was just the next poor idiot they sent to check the generator. The logbook, the original one taped to the kitchen wall, was gone. In its place, a notebook. It looked familiar, black cover, frayed edges. I opened it. The first entry was written in my handwriting. January 3rd, arrived at outpost H31. Station seems normal. Will begin diagnostics tomorrow. I flipped forward. Entry after entry, all mine. Or close enough. Some dated a week ago. Others from last year, all signed Danny M. The last page simply read, "If you're reading this, you're already too late. Just don't trust your shadow or your smile." I looked down. My shadow had moved. It was no longer connected to my feet. It was walking away. By the time I caught up with my shadow, it had already disappeared into the hallway leading to the dorms. That was fine by me. I didn't want to follow it. I wasn't even sure I could. Shadows weren't supposed to move like that or leave footprints. But there they were, black, wet outlines along the steel floor, the shape of my boots, but just slightly off. The tread was wrong, too smooth, almost like skin. I backed away and pressed my hand to the wall to steady myself. It was ice cold, vibrating faintly, like it was holding in a scream. That's when the outpost started talking, not in words, not in anything logical, just noises. Metal groans, pipes clanking, whispers carried on air currents that shouldn't exist indoors. The floor shuddered. The lights above me flickered red, then blue, then red again, pulsing in rhythm with something just beneath the surface. And then I heard the first knock. Not on the front door this time. On the walls. Knock, knock, knock. Then another. From a different room, then another, and another. The entire station was knocking back. I ran to the supply room and kicked it open, tossed boxes until I found the emergency gear, flare gun, signal mirror, 1 pack of waterproof matches, and one very old, very skeptical-looking fire axe. "Number 13, I muttered, slinging it over my shoulder. "If your house starts knocking, grab an axe and don't ask questions." I turned to leave and froze. Someone was standing at the end of the hallway, tall, still, wearing my parka, my face, but not me, this one. It was smiling, not like the others, not mimicking, genuinely smiling, like he knew something I didn't, like he'd already won. He lifted his hand, held up a match, and struck it. The generator died again. The lights blinked off, all of them. And for the first time since I arrived, the cold wasn't just seeping in. It rushed inside, like a living thing that had been invited home. I collapsed against the wall, choking on my own breath. The air crystallized in my throat. My lungs screamed. My fingers went numb in seconds. The flare gun fell from my hands, useless. I crawled, slipped, pulled myself along the floor toward the meat locker, my fortress of solitude, the only place that still felt real, safe. Behind me I heard laughter. Not my voice. Dozens of voices, layered, distant, some familiar, some foreign. One sounded like a childhood friend who died in a car crash. One sounded like my 5th-grade math teacher. One sounded like a voicemail I barely remembered deleting. They were all wearing me, and they were getting closer. The meat locker door was half frozen shut. I threw my weight against it once, twice, 3 times before it creaked open. I slammed it behind me and wedged my back against it. Darkness, silence, except for one thing, breathing, not mine, slow, deep, inside the room. I flicked a match. The flame revealed a notebook, my notebook. The last page had changed. It now read, "There's one more rule, Danny. Number 14. When the cold comes, let it take you, because what follows is worse." I didn't sleep that night. I sat there, flare in one hand, axe in the other, watching my own breath spiral upward in the dark, until it wasn't my breath anymore. They found me 3 weeks later. At least that's what the new guy told me. Said he walked into the station and found the place abandoned but clean. Coffee still warm in the pot. Generator running like a dream. He thought I'd just stepped out to relieve myself in the snow. Except I was sitting in the mess hall, smiling. He didn't recognize me at first. Said I looked different from the photo in the company files. Pale, frostbitten maybe, eyes a little cloudy. I didn't talk, just sipped from a cup and motioned for him to sit across from me. He told me all this after the fact, of course, during his debriefing, or maybe he didn't. Honestly, I'm not sure anymore. Time's funny up here. I remember locking myself in the meat locker. I remember the flare trembling in my hand, refusing to light. I remember hearing breathing that wasn't mine, and realizing the walls were warmer now, pulsing with something just behind them, like skin stretched too tight over a skull. I remember giving up, not from fear, from understanding, because I wasn't the first Danny at this outpost, and I wouldn't be the last. The knock came again, soft, friendly, like a neighbor asking to borrow sugar. I didn't answer, but the door opened anyway, and I watched me walk in. A version of me, warmer, stronger, full of life and questions. He looked at the logbook on the wall, read the rules, laughed, just like I had. I think I even said the same line he did. "Burn anything that knocks? What is this, a haunted house?" He never saw me, not at first, but eventually he will. He'll find the shadow that doesn't match. He'll notice the figure in the window. He'll hear the knocks in the walls and the laughter in his own voice. And when the generator dies and the cold comes roaring in, he'll crawl to the one room he still trusts, and I'll be there, waiting. That's the way it works. I'm not Danny anymore. I'm just the placeholder, the smile in the mess hall window, the voice behind the door, the warmth in the chair across from yours, waiting for you to sit. And someday, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next week, but someday the next poor soul will arrive. A technician, a scientist, a storm chaser. They'll read the rules and chuckle. They'll break them, and they'll write their own. I hope they make it further than I did, but probably not, because you don't beat this place, you become it.